got a sippy cup.
Sippy cup. It's a sippy cup. You could go back. You could
Wait,
all day.
Hey, hey, Tyler. Tyler, that 2 hours in between drinks, that gives her time to go to AA.
Get all twitchy. Do a YouTube video
A
of
sippy
drinking
addict.
one every 2 hours. It would be like people would watch it. The Panera Sippy Club membership. What's it called? Oh. Make that at home. He doesn't have a club membership. Wait 2 hours, I'll get you one.
Hey. Okay. All right. Welcome to the January 6th. No, it's not. It's the February meeting. The wrong one up. Welcome to the February meeting of the Genesee County Metropolitan Planning Commission. This is the sippy cup version of our meeting. Call the meeting to order and start with the roll call, please. Okay. The minutes from the last meeting were in your packet. Hopefully you had a chance to look at them.
Second.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Discussion's closed. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Are there any abstentions? Passes. This is the opportunity for individuals to address the planning commission. Going once, twice, 3 times. One, communications.
No communications.
Nobody likes us anymore. Committee reports. We have 2 this time.
I'll do just an update on the local unit just real quick. We met for the first time last week. We went through some draft numbers as far as the recycle center, cost, ordinance fee, proposed increase, those type of things. We're going to probably be getting together again probably in the next couple weeks to kind of look through some more refined costs. We were waiting for some information from our architect as to we had reduced the square footage of the building, and then kind of tweaking and looking at a few numbers. So, but stay tuned. Stay tuned to that. Construction costs are expensive, and so we're just trying to put something together that makes sense and gives us the best value, I think, for our dollar. So.
Pretty much what we discussed. Okay, that is the report of the local unit committee. That was the first meeting, so there's nothing that added to the committee since it was brought up. As no action on this, as construction costs are developed and plans get firmed up a little bit more, and financing options get firmed up, then we may have something more that'll come to this body. The main point of the meeting was to start talking about the ordinance fee, because raising the ordinance fee is going to be a part of what needs to be done to help finance the building. Remember way back when costs were a lot lower, we were looking at being able to self-fund the whole thing. The goal was to save up the money to build the place. Now costs are triple what they were initially. So now we have to look at financing with the fine-tooth comb. Even though we're sitting here with 3.7 million in the bank and some money from the state of Michigan and other places, it's going to have to be financed and not on a short term of 5 years. It's going to be a longer term. So it's a different project than it was now because of the costs. So gymnastics going on. We've already reduced the size of the building from 26,000 square feet to 20,000 square feet. And we're looking at reshaping it in just about every aspect of the building to see what we can package that'll be palatable and still give us the most bang for the buck.
So we do have one grant from the state of Michigan. We are, we have applied for 2, 3, 4 additional grants that we did not receive. And we're still looking at different grants to apply for. So ultimately, as we're working towards construction, like we're still going to be applying for in grants, but we want to also kind of look at the total cost as well.
Don't want to forget the fact that when Deb was treasurer, she took care of all the site demolition for us. Covered by the treasurer's office, so with some of the funds available through that, which is a big help as well. There are maybe some other county monies as well, because there are departments that may be using part of that.
This is part of a bigger site. Like we're not taking the entire site up as part of an overall plan. So we're just trying to look at, you know, are there, because there's a lot of cost in site prep for that entire site and fencing for the entire site. So there's some, we're going to explore some options on what funds could line up on those. We have a really good team. Our CFO, Crystal's been involved in this, which she's on the number side and as well as facilities operations. Josh from the board office. So I feel pretty confident we'll put a good package together. It's just a matter of fine tuning and making sure the numbers are. And to be clear, we've always were intending to raise the ordinance fee. So there was never an intent that we weren't going to raise it. The question we always wanted to know is, we don't want to just raise a fee without knowing what you're paying for. So as we developed this project, you know, we were at 45 cents per cubic yard. And so when we looked at it, we said, okay, well, we know we're going to have to raise it, but you know, we didn't want to raise it like 10 cents or 5 cents or 20 cents or whatever. And then what's it for? And they said, well, we're building a building and we think we know at some time in the future we'll have costs, right? So we'd rather have like concrete, like we're going to raise it. This is what you get for your money type thing. And so we're just trying to fine tune what that ask is going to be. Because ultimately 82% of the funding from the ordinance fee comes from like non-Genesee County residents. So it is, we're creative. So other counties actually just pay general fund to fund these facilities. So in this case, we're like, you know, since we do have 2 large landfills that do bring waste in from lots of different places, how do we capitalize on that to give free to our residents service.
So that's another thing we did at the local unit meeting. We went through the breakdown of where the ordinance fee hits, who bears that burden. that's what we're looking at, local unit. There's no action though from that committee report. Also had another
Leland.
supported. Discussion. Part of the interviewers. So we got somebody from this body who's an on-the-ground construction guy. Abstaining from this vote because I have multiple conflicts of interest with a number of companies that put in for the bid for the construction manager. Is there any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion to approve the recommendation and the report from the consultant selection committee. It's been moved and supported. Discussion's closed. All in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. And I will abstain. Are there any other abstentions? Okay, hearing none. Passed. Thank you, Deb. Next up, do we have any new business? Wants to talk to us? Nobody's given us new business?
You know that midwinter blues?
Move on to finances, contracts, vouchers, and bills.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before you, we have bills totaling about $7,200 and change. The biggest couple in there. One, so we actually received a Mott Trail grant. By the time we got to the end of the grant, we just had about 5,000 unspent, so we just have to send that back, which is fine. They've since given us way more money, so it works out. Because we do have to have expenses that match staff time. The other one is we have a little bit of attorney's fees for the Clow Road Corridor Improvement Project. That's a project we're working on with Mount Morris Township in the city of Flint to see if they can get a improvement authority up on Clow Road in that area. And that's a project that you're going to see a little bit of fees. It's not going to be too expensive. It's really just to write the paperwork for getting that through the process. So if you have any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. McGraw Morris. So the Kevin Kilby is the attorney. He's the attorney that also did this for Mundy Township, Flint Township as well. He's done corridor improvements authorities for both of them. At one point, I think he was a Clio city manager.
He's done something with
Yep, water and waste, I-69 trade corridor. He's an attorney for a bunch of stuff like that, mostly municipal.
pay the bills. It's been supported. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Are there any abstentions? Passes. Commission expenses and per diems. discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Are there any abstentions? Passes. Back to financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For those of you that can see all the way to the end. So it's about 2.7 million in our planning funds, and also solid waste restricted is about, or solid waste is a little over $3 million. Keep in mind the 2.7 million, that on the planning side, that's a large number. That is primarily a lot of MOT grants that we've given. So they actually, those are for trail work that we're working on. And so they've actually cut those checks to us, and then those then go directly to the local units. That's why you'll see a little bit bigger number than normal in that category. This is up through December 31st. Overall, we're in good shape. We're about 20% for staff costs, and our fringes are about 17%. That's by far the largest part of our budget. The other line items are, minor amounts, with the exception, I think, our insurance we've already paid for the year. And then we do have, after this, a couple small budget adjustments. But if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Table if there is one first. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Are there any abstentions? Passes. Now let's talk about the budget adjustments.
Budget adjustment, just to line up with our recommendation to the county board for hiring the construction managers, just to set the $600,000 up in that line item so that we can pay the construction manager.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Morning, Sheila.
Good morning, Commissioners. Transportation staff has been working to obligate the 2026 projects that we have in our TIP. And then we also included some data here on some of the pavement conditions that we collected at the end of 2025. These are for the Genesee County non-federal roads. So those are mostly some of your neighborhood streets. You can see that we only have 6% of the roads in good condition. That is down from the last time we collected this. It was at 7%. And fair, 16%, poor, 78%. In 2023, the number of poor was at 74%. So unfortunately, our roads are getting worse. The local units do get Act 51 money, or they do special assessments to take care of these types of roads. As usual, there's not enough money. So that's the information that I have. We're finalizing those reports, and those will go out to all of the local units of government, see what's going on in their communities exactly, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Yep. And that will flow through the road commission.
director's report, it's got Genesee County up here. I'll just read the numbers for Shiawassee County. Good, 16%. Fair, 42%. Poor, 42%. Better, but not great. Lapeer County has 29% good, so they took the ribbon. Fair, 25%, and poor, 46%. Over the years, their numbers have followed ours. And so Genesee County has gone down, so have the other two counties. There was maybe a blip of a year where we reversed it just continued to go down throughout the region.
I just want to clarify, the numbers in the director's report that Mr. Chair just read are actually federal aid assisted roads. The numbers here are non-federal aid. So to give a little comparison, our 2024 numbers for our Fed aid roads, we had 24% that were in good condition, 49 in fair, and 27 in poor. So it gets a little confusing. We alternate years on what we collect here in Genesee County. So although these are neighborhood streets, what's reported in Region 5 is federal aid roads. Yes, that's being finalized this week, and then that will go out to local units.
We'll make sure all the commissioners get a copy.
I don't know that there's a community that has one, but they may do it neighborhood by neighborhood. I see Derek's face, maybe I'm speaking incorrectly.
So there's a small handful, and we'll refresh it, but it's Flint Township for years has had one. Benton has done some stuff. Some communities, I know they like even Grand Blanc, the city. Thank you. A lot of them really, mostly Swartz Creek has one. They really work on a capital plan, and they say, okay, this is our assets, and this is what it's going to take to fix them. And this is what every year we got to start knocking off local streets because there really isn't. The legislature did actually give a pretty decent amount to local streets, but ultimately the amount of money that you got through Act 51 for local streets was enough to plow them and maybe fill a pothole or two. There wasn't enough to actually do that repair. The challenge with Genesee County being we're developed in the 50s, 60s, 70s, right? 80s. We have a ton of subdivisions and a ton of this mass road network that really has not received any maintenance for the most part because there's not a lot of funds. And so there's a few proactive communities that went after and said, look, we got to do this because nobody wants to buy a house that you can't drive down the road. Very expensive repairs.
And even then, I suspect that they're not investing enough.
Yeah, we can put that together. Sure.
typically communities that have better roads have plans, whether it's a road committee. Be honest. What we can do, and just on your that train of thinking, so we have seen. It's not all doom and gloom in Genesee County. It just seems like the roads I drive on are doom and gloom, right? And but what we could do is we actually have probably 2 to 4 really good examples of communities or road agencies that have done some stuff to make some changes. Road Commission is a good example. If you had looked at the Road Commission, I'm not going to date myself, but a couple directors ago, their primary roads were in horrible shape. And they said, look, we have to do something. Change in leadership came, and a new director took a different approach, and he said, we have to have a mix of fixes and different things. They started saying, let's get our own crews to pave roads, right? Just, it's not the best fix, but like something. And they now do a multitude of things. And they actually, in the state, and this is probably 5 to 7 years ago, had the biggest change of any road agency. We also have a couple cities that do some really innovative things, pavement, different things out there. So maybe what we could do is feel that we could do an actual session where we invite people to come, and we invite the elected officials, the mayors, the council members, just to come listen, and then other people can talk about here's some things you can do. Because to your point, Dr. Brown, it's priorities and money, and everybody gets a certain amount of money. But if you spend it slightly different, you're going to get a different approach. Sometimes it's maintenance. You just pave a road and walk away, and 30 years later wonder why it failed. It's like your house. You got to keep your roof on your house, or the whole thing's going to rot. So if you don't do crack sealing and some of those smaller, we could probably do something. I think we could do something. Yeah, we could do like a one-off. We can even talk about the new money coming in. Good. urban counties, there's probably about 4 or 5 in the state. The larger urban counties have actually just brought the road commission under the county board. Yep.
With all due respect, I think that's rearranging chairs on the deck. And fundamentally, the problem is growth. It's a fallacy to think that you can have good roads, low taxes. You have to have growth, or you have to pay high taxes. And that's, I think, the problem we're struggling here, is that you'll see places like municipalities like Fenton that have done these things, incredibly high taxes, roads are still poor. You have to have growth. Everything else is just preparing for decline. Fundamental problem. Yeah. You got to have growth. We got to be aggressive about that.
Part of that too, at least for the city of Flint.
What we can do to help locals, and we talked about having a road summit, so to speak, which could be very helpful. We also, one of our other duties is to kind of a sounding board for the Board of Commissioners, so those comments hopefully are going to be taken upstairs as well. And there are some good thoughts, and to what Tyler says, for years, everybody always said the difference between Grand Blanc City and Grand Blanc Township is to go into the city, your taxes are higher, but you get more care, you get more things. And it's true, and we don't have a population that can grow. The growth has to come from the commercial end of things if you want to drive it, and the city hasn't necessarily done that. So, do you want to pay higher taxes and get better services? Most people do. So they don't complain that much, and the roads get done more than other places. So we have a motion to approve the report, and she's done the right thing by just hiding.
Discussion can happen.
All right, we have a motion to approve the report. That, and now the American Rescue Plan Act.
Yes, so we are in the process of finalizing several of our projects right now. As you know, $100,000 was distributed to all of the senior centers throughout the county. We did all kinds of work, building expansions, interior remodels, bathroom motorized vehicles like passenger vans. We built a couple pole barns. So we only have 3 that are still in progress. And then we also are working to finalize the Otisville Lagoons, the Clio Road corridor, the county building, and the juvenile justice. And after we are done with all of those, we will close everything out for ARPA. All the money has to be spent by the end of September, so we are on track. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. This year we begun collecting our first quarter reports and fees from our waste haulers, landfills, and transfer facilities. So we're following up with a few of those agencies that are still required us to get those. Part of the we talked a little bit about our solid waste and earlier coming out of the committee, and we actually did an analysis on what we receive through these versus what we get in the bank, and it's almost mirrors perfectly. So just want to make a note that we do look. We want to make sure that we compare what we're getting in revenue matches what the reports are telling us. Sometimes they can be a little bit off, but that's more of probably a conversion issue than anything. The units of measurement. we had a lot of discussion on the recycle center, and this past week we were able to meet with DLZ, our architect, and really fine tune the site layout of the building itself, and zero in on how the flow of the building is going to be and how much square footage. And we have a few slides to share, and I'm actually going to call on my colleague Cody to kind of walk you through what we've been working on with the architect.
Morning, commissioners. So yeah, I'm going to walk through some of these latest renderings that we have of the recycle center. We're really excited to share these. I know that we've showed some in the past, but I think we're getting a lot closer to where we want to be with this. So this first view, this is from Robert T. Longway. It's kind of the southwest of the building. Main thing I want to point out is we want this building to be functional, but we also want it to look aesthetically pleasing. That's a big component of this. I mean, this could easily look like some warehouse. I mean, we visit a lot of recycle centers ourselves, and a lot of them just look like a warehouse building. We don't want to do that. So that's kind of a key point to think about when you're looking at this. One of the things is having a drive-through that people can drive under. Staff can go and unload vehicles, protected from the elements. Obviously, we want to do this year-round, so that's kind of a big thing for this. So this is the kind of overhead view of the site. When we first started this project, the main thing, and for anybody that's ever been to a recycle day event, it's really how the traffic flows. So that was the big question with this. So the way it's going to work is people will enter from Robert T. Longway, and they can easily navigate through the site, stopping where they need to drop items off. And then the primary exit would be over here on Genesee. So it's kind of a very easy, you don't have to think about turning movements, simple to use. And then the other main thing is we wanted the building itself to be as close to this corner of Chavez and Robert T. as possible. It's just more aesthetically pleasing. You can see the nice building right from the street. Kind of fits in with the character of the cultural center. And then, I mean, obviously there's room for expansion too. There's a lot of space here. We are going to fence in the entire property when we do this project, so that's a pretty big benefit. Security is huge on this. Okay, we have some other slides that kind of zoom in better on this, but this is the first floor of the building, so it's a 2-floor building. A majority of it is what we call like the household hazardous waste staging area. So that's really where, people, this is that overhang. People are going to come in here, drop off their stuff. A lot of that will be sorted in stored here in this facility. And then this other side of the facility, that's what we call like the office/education area of the building. A few things I want to point out is we want to make sure that a full-size truck and a trailer can get into the building. And when we were looking at other buildings, that was their biggest issue. I mean, just having space to do things. We need to be able to have a forklift that can drive in and out of there, trucks that can drive in and out of there. You see there's 2 loading docks. We really took a lot of inspiration from those site visits that we did. Okay, what improvements could be made for our building? So this is a zoom in of that first floor office / education. So the first floor is primarily, I would say, more geared towards staff. But again, a big thing, like we went to one place, I won't say the county, but we went to one place, and as soon as you enter their building, you're looking around and you're kind of like, I don't even see anybody. Like, I don't even know where I could talk to somebody. So we wanted to make sure that the office area is right at the end. So there'll be a glass area right here. If anybody from the public comes in, there'll be staff there that can help them. Another cool thing that we saw at one of the visits at a reuse store. So a lot of the product that they took in that still could be used, pesticides that are full, paint that's still full, we can put it in that room. Obviously work with risk management on this, sign off, but they could take some of that product and take it home, and then that also helps us because we don't have to spend the money to have break room, shower, lockers, that type of stuff. There will be multi-purpose. This is really just like a meeting space. Another thing is when you come into this is going to be open to above. And then there's going to be a cool feature wall that also goes up to the second floor. So you'll kind of feel like there's like a bridge above you almost. And then this is kind of just like flexible exhibit space. We are working with a consultant. So this is just some flexible space for that, but there will be more on the second floor. So this is the second floor. This is all geared towards education. And we spent a lot of time on this. I think the thing with this was just balancing functionality and the space, and obviously in consideration of budget. But what we wanted was people to come up here and be able to walk around the space counterclockwise motion. We had some other drawings where people would go, they'd go down a hall and then they'd have to double back. And just thinking of how an exhibit works, like that's not going to double back and see the same exhibit space that you already saw. So this is what we came up with. Again, that feature wall will kind of come up. This will feel like a bridge. There is a big classroom. That was another big thing that we took from a site visit. This is about 1,000 square feet, so that's enough to have like a class of 30. And what's interesting about this is, so this classroom space, you can kind of see, it has like these doors that can, most of the time they're going to be open. Just thinking about how often we would use the classroom. We're going to have, classes in there every so often, but primarily these would be open. So it would allow for that counterclockwise motion. It kind of freed up some space for exhibits. And then there would be a mezzanine that the students or whoever visits could walk out onto. You can see the floor, you can see what's going on. And again, thinking about that exhibit company that we're working with, this is really going to be where a lot of that stuff is. And we're really keeping in mind like how that can be interactive, especially with the classroom. Because we put it there, for example, because they could see out onto the road where stuff's being dropped off. There's going to be glass here so they can see onto the floor. So just really thinking about sight lines. And I didn't mention that with the first floor. That was a big point with the office space. They could see onto the floor. They can monitor the store, who's going in and out of that. So we really took a lot of time to think about how this works. All right, so this is the last one. This is from the southeast view at the corner of Shop T. Again, we did not want a warehouse. We saw a lot of buildings that looked like warehouses. Obviously it's somewhat of a warehouse on the inside, but we don't want people to think street view. We really spent a lot of time on the roof line. I think that was the key point that really made it not look like a warehouse. We wanted something innovative. Lots of glass, lots of bringing in natural light. This is supposed to be about sustainability, and we want to make sure that we're bringing in natural light. We're also gonna retain some gray water for use on the site, solar, that type of stuff. And then this drawing doesn't have it, but we really want to have landscaping right here. We're gonna do a lot of landscaping. Obviously, we've been working closely with our facility department and just making sure that like this corner is protected. We have to think about that. A lot of glass, we don't drive up on here and hit a building or something like that. So we're really considering all aspects of how this is designed. So just wanted to go through that really quick. Don't know if there's any questions, but I'd be happy to answer anything.
Time I talk to Derek about the building.
Yeah, so our intent with this is with our people that are putting our education just wanted to be able to give them something to see. You know what I mean? Like visually. So we're exploring, whether it's consumers' energy, right? Or foundations or different things on the education piece. We actually, federal government level, like different aspects that touch on different things. So our optimism is now that we're starting to have some photos, this is what we're building, this is the education center, we'd like you to be a part of it. I think think there's some good opportunities. The other one, which is not a sponsorship, but just remember, so sustainability, Cody talked about our plumbers and pipe fitters, right? They were the ones that approached us about how do we show off our trades and what a good job they do with some gray water collection. And so when you look at the roof line, then it's pretty logical that you're trying to collect the rainwater, right? Same with solar. So this building, we don't have operating costs, but our intent is, City of Flint water is not cheap, so the least amount we can use the best, and the solar should offset the vast bulk of our electric use as well. So there will be some different things like that.
From where you were coming from, though, part of sponsorship a lot of times would be naming rights too. And understanding is, yeah, that isn't something that the county likes to do.
So yeah, so it's came up before in the county about naming stuff. It's been a bit since that's come up. So it may be like if there's something to do with electricity and solar and that type of stuff, then maybe consumers can help pay for that chunk inside, as opposed to like building sponsorships.
Like what we talked about across the street from this, the Cousineau Detention Center. I think it's important because, staff has heard a lot of comments from a lot of people on how to do this. And I'm constantly squeezing to get the cost down as much as possible because we always wanted to build this thing with our own financing, to do this ourselves instead of being a burden on the county. And to my own embarrassment, I'm going to say what I said at the local unit meeting. Saw it, I said, okay, there's a lot of glass here. How do we prevent this from being a shooting gallery, a shooting range? Because then you have a lot of glass replacement. So different lines of thinking. You want more glass, and I think, oh my gosh, the maintenance. But point taken. Point taken. There are a lot of ways to go with it, but it is a warehouse. Go ahead, Deb.
Not real wood, but
So, so a couple things. And the reason we bring things and show pictures is so we actually get feedback and comments, right? That's why we bring stuff. As staff, it's been if we were to show you the first pictures to this point, it's quite a transformation, like dramatic transformation. But can there always be improvement? Absolutely. So what I think we can do is a couple things is so we can go back and just drive around the cultural center. Is it materials? Is it beams? Is it what are the different things that? And then the second thing is if you have, and I know you sent that one picture, because we also inside need to do some stuff too, right? Like we're not going to walk inside an education center and have blank white walls, right? Walk in that door, it does have to have some interest. So if there's ideas, artists or mural suggestions or those, 100% encourage those. And then the other piece, if you look at the glass, most of the glass, two things. If you've ever been in a warehouse, they're dark, they're dingy, whatever, the glass up there is going to be awesome. So as a worker, being that it's up high, you're going to get lots of natural light. But the staff area doesn't have a lot. It's kind of buried back in the corner, so it's a little. But the materials, what we can do on the outside, sample pictures. We'll tour around the Sloan, take a whole bunch of pictures around there. It's kind of one of those things you don't know it till you know it, right? So, but yeah, no, we're looking for input.
At the classroom.
You want to point the classroom out? Cody, go up to the screen. Go back.
So that was something that as I'm looking at it, I'm like, white walls. How can we make that more interesting? Because glass is going to obviously show through then to that intersection as well. So that was in my mind kind of what that was. I'm glad you brought that up. And that can, work with Creative Fine Arts Council. They've got plenty of muralists that we can discuss too. So.
Okay. Well, we have a report that we need to approve. Environmental program report. Anything else, Jacob, or?
Nope, I think we're good. Thanks, Cody, for doing that.
Okay, do we have a motion? Been moved? And that's to approve the report. Discussion closed. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Passes. Next up, CD report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this last month, we've completed our first draft of our 2026 plan, and that will allow us to line up the next year's worth of HUD funding. We're on track to, we're currently using last year's estimates, but we have seen everything positive as far as we're going to get funding again from everything, the discussions that's happening in DC. We will have a public hearing in early March. And then I'll also mention at this time of the year, we are always keeping track of our what they call our timeliness, making sure that we are spending down, working closely with our grant recipients, which is our municipalities primarily. And we are on track to actually exceed that target by that March deadline. So everything's good on that front. And then we also had applications closed for our 20 Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and so staff will be reviewing those applications over the next couple of weeks. Happy to answer any questions.
Supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Passes. Report of the director, we've already actually done part of it.
Just two things real quick. Our master plan, we just finished up our public comment sessions. We did add an additional one out in Swartz Creek, and that was from 5 to 7. And so we actually had four different times throughout the county. The other thing, I know Jacob kind of said, hey, we're meeting timeliness. I just want to say that that is a huge accomplishment. I know we do it every year and it doesn't seem like a big deal, but I just have to give a lot of credit to Anthony and Drew, Gwen, and Jake and his team working with our local units on all the different grants and all the grants to make sure we meet those deadlines. So hats off, a stellar group of people.
Commissioner comments, we'll hear about the parks next time when Bill is here. Else want to add some comments in? No strong Go Blues.
Buy
Leave it,
anything
we'll
with
leave it
money.
there. Okay, our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, March 3. So spring break and wife birthday time. So have a wonderful rest of the month, and hopefully, it's 19 degrees out right now. So this is tropics. I don't know why you leave, but it'll be warmer then. Thank you, everybody. Oh, it heats up.